Geordie journos. We found ourselves a little room with a little Champions League backdrop. There's a couple of glum faces either side of us to me left and right. I've been told I'm not allowed to smile, but it is the Champions League. And what do you expect at this level? Newcastle United had a tough reality check of sorts. There is a way I would describe it. Tonight, you might be watching this the day after, 24 hours after or so we'll probably not dwell too much on the match itself. If you want a little bit of snap match analysis, you can go to the live video that I did while these two guys were working hard down in the press conference, just for my player ratings, what I thought of the performance, and generally what I think of the state of the group as well at this time. So what we'll do is, obviously you guys were in with Eddie Howe and you got to speak to him, and we know about the injuries. Of course, Jacob Murphy this evening, Alexander Isak. We also had some news of, was it Elliot Anderson that you mentioned? I've just caught a bit of Eddie's press conference there. Sandro Tonali, of course. So I want to timestamp this, that we're doing this on the evening straight after the Dortmund game. So any potential ban for the alleged betting offences may well have come by the time you watch this video. So we're not really going to talk too much on that subject because we don't know the outcome. But of course we're kind of expecting that there'll be a ban, so another hole in the squad there. Right, talk to us a little bit, Dom, I'll come at you first. Talk to us a little bit about the Isak thing, because I think that's probably the biggest concern on the agenda at the moment.
Yeah, it was a big blow for Newcastle, and I think it affected the way Newcastle played in the game itself, with Callum Wilson coming on after just 14 minutes. Isak, it was a recurrence of his groin injury that saw him withdraw from the Sweden squad earlier in the month. Groin injury picked up at West Ham, that 2-2 draw before the international break. And when it's a recurrence of an injury, it just makes you feel that little bit more concerned, because it's obviously an ongoing issue, and Newcastle will be extra careful now. It's a repeat injury, it's not a fresh injury, if you like. And yeah, that was a big blow for Newcastle. Hopefully he's back sooner rather than later. Eddie Howe didn't divulge too much into the length or time frame regarding Isak, said it was too early to tell. But Jacob Murphy was a big one. He said it was absolutely devastating for Jacob Murphy, dislocated shoulder just 5 minutes after coming on in the game. So yeah, given his impact on Saturday, it was almost a surprise not to see him start the game. It was a harsh decision to drop him, if you like, but Miguel Almiron came in the side, did a job, huffed and puffed. But yeah, Jacob Murphy facing a spell on the sidelines by the looks of it. Again, Eddie Howe didn't want to go too far ahead of himself and put a time frame on it, but he did say it was absolutely devastating for him.
I'm smiling at your huffed and puffed from Miguel Almiron. I would say you could probably describe Newcastle's performance, in the main as, I think I put something on Twitter just going back to the game itself, that and with that live video, and a lot of people criticised it, actually, a little bit of pointed criticism, saying that, yeah, did they really leave everything out there? Did they really? I think they did, actually. I think they gave everything. It's just when you hit a certain level of competition, which Newcastle United are playing in the hardest club competition there is to win on the planet, you're going to come up against opposition, particularly ones that almost won the Bundesliga last season and are a very good side. They're very compact, really well set up today to prevent Newcastle United playing. You're playing good opposition, you're going to fall short sometimes, and I think there was just that little, they just didn't have that final ball, that final bit of quality in the end. And Jordan, like, going back to the injuries as well, squad's creaking a bit. That's the way I would describe it. I think, and you look at in a two game a week, virtually all the way run up to December now, it looks like it's going to be a little tough run. They need a little bit of luck in that injuries department.
So it's almost like they're back to square one before the international break. So I think we're back at the international break. Callum Wilson just came back. Joe Willock was out. Harvey Barnes, Anthony Gordon suspended, etc. But fast forward to now, looks like Sandro Tonali again could be missing. So Joe Willock's back, obviously. But then Isak back out injured. And then Jacob Murphy as well. So it's one less option, or two less option, three less option. The squad is thin, and yeah, it's as you mentioned there, it's a real struggle because of the increased games, and they're gonna be stretched. I thought that probably showed today. Callum Wilson coming on early doors, is it a tough ask now to go and play?
He's not going to be able to do it. You can't. Callum Wilson can't play 90 on a Wednesday, 90 on a Saturday, Sunday, week in, week out. So they're going to have to hope that Isak isn't bad, because that is too much, and it leaves a big hole in the squad if they've only got one striker, and asking Callum Wilson to play 90, 180 minutes a week is only going to dig the hole deeper, because he's proven in the past that the best part of the last year has been able to manage Callum Wilson to play the most minutes he's probably played in a Newcastle shirt since he came. And if you start asking him having to do the 90 twice a week, he couldn't cope with playing 90 every weekend in that first season even, and you get 25 games a season out of Callum Wilson max when you're asking him to play week in, week out. Bearing in mind he's 2 to 3 years older now as well. So I just think it's a massive problem.
They've got no options. But beyond Wilson, so okay, you can say Anthony Gordon can play there, maybe Joe Linton can play there. I think Eddie Howe has even name dropped Jacob Murphy as a potential striker.
Well, he's not.
But
But
it doesn't sound like he's going to play for a few weeks at least with apparent dislocated shoulder. So they really are thin in that department, and it is a worry. With so many games, tough games as well. You're going to some really tough places. Old Trafford next week, for example. You've even then got Arsenal, Chelsea at home, Manchester United away, and then you've got
Manchester United at home in a few weeks. So it doesn't get any easier.
It's almost like you can't get by. So look, games aren't one on paper, but if you face a Burnley at home, for example, then you go, all right, you've got to play Anthony Gordon down the middle for that game. Maybe you can get by, but against these top teams, you can't. So it is a major concern. Hopefully, Isak can get back as quick as possible, like he did last time when he did that international break. But even then, if he's out for 2 weeks, it's still a blow, because in that 2 week period, Newcastle have got some really tough games. So yeah, I think the performance tonight, Newcastle are a bit battered and bruised after tonight because of the injuries, which just compounds I would say a disappointing evening.
Yeah, and in those 2 weeks as well, you've got the Dortmund away game, which is now becoming almost a must-win if Newcastle want to get out this group.
It's going to be a decide out. They're going to at least need to get a point in Dortmund now, and then if they get a point in Dortmund, they're probably going to have to go and get a point in PSG as well. To set up the decider against AC Milan. Obviously, you've probably spoken about that, Liam, in your live reaction. But that's how it feels.
They have to get a point in one. They have to get something out of the 2 away games. And then that'll mean you're going to the last game having probably beat AC Milan to be in with a chance of getting through. I think that's essentially the way Eddie Howe talked about the pivotal nature of the game. Had they won today, with PSG winning, you'd be in the driving seat and you'd be comfortable because you'd have a 2 game gap, which the 2 away games are a free hit. And if you do get something, you've almost guaranteed your progression. Now, getting 0 points, even a point tonight, would have probably been enough to keep a positive outlook with regards to getting through, and I still think it's all there to play for. Newcastle United's main strength for me is the home games. It was never going to be the same as PSG, but it wasn't the same tonight. I thought there was a flat nature about the atmosphere and the feeling. Was there a little bit of complacency from everybody? Did everybody think we were going to turn up today and walk over a Dortmund side? Look, I don't think anybody took it massively for granted, but I do think there was a little bit of that tonight. I'm not going to criticise the crowd. That's not where the game was won and lost, because please don't take that as a criticism, because it was not. It just wasn't quite the same atmosphere, but it was never going to be. And I think the weather didn't help. The conditions were awful. It was a tight game. I think when you look at the statistics after the first half, you could make a fair case to say Dortmund deserved that. I think when you look at the statistics at the end of the game, I think you could easily make a case to say on another night Newcastle United might have won. And I think it's probably taken us maybe an hour, a couple of hours after the game now to really digest it. And I think, Callum Wilson puts that chance away, and then he also hit the bar twice. So the big chances from 45 minutes onwards really felt in Newcastle United. And I think you could make a case to say they should have won, but they didn't. We move on, and I think point I want to make, because we're getting shifted, this seems to be a Champions League night thing. Shorter Geordie doing this video, but we've already had the St James's Park staff here at the video saying 5 more minutes because they want to go home.
It is approaching midnight.
We're virtually at midnight here at St James's Park, and we're still not thawed out and dry after that. Go back to the live video to see like I'm like a drowned rat, trying to perform for you guys out there. Right. I just want to make one final point. It might even make it a headline for the video, Dom, but it kind of feels like a bit of a broken record with regards things with Newcastle United. And I think the chickens are coming home to roost a little bit with regards a underwhelming summer transfer window. I think we're getting the final 2 minutes. 2 minutes. He's waving the key at us, right? I've got a final point to make.
We'll be banned for the next game, I think.
I don't think Newcastle took advantage of the money that to spend in the summer. I don't think they've signed the right kind of players, and I still don't think this squad is any stronger than it was last season. And I think this is the problem. We will, if you guys like that kind of theme and you want us to talk more in depth, we will do that. But I think the chickens are coming home to roost in the forward areas, and that's the biggest problem for me, is that you are never going to be able to have to rely, if you had to rely on Alexander Isak to stay fit all season for it to work, and if he doesn't stay fit, then you're relying on Callum Wilson, which we know is too much of an ask for him to do that. To not have a third option was one of the oversights. They've looked at the rest of the squad and thought we can strengthen, hoping for a bit of luck that they would get by in the striker department. It doesn't look like that's going to be the case. We're flitting in and out of between one being available and the other one not, and it's putting strain on the other one, and what the other one's picking up an injury and getting injured. It's just not quite working. There is no third option. Don't tell me Anthony Gordon's a third option, because he's not. You take Anthony Gordon off the left-hand side, Newcastle United's team loses something massive. Jacob Murphy's never been a striker, and Eddie Howe, fair enough, you can talk all you want about Eddie Howe, but Jacob Murphy's never played as a striker in this team, so it's a big ask to say he's a striker. And Joe Linton is a failed striker in this team. The third option isn't there. There isn't anybody in the youth ranks, there's nobody can play there. And I fear that could be the biggest problem moving forward when Newcastle United played 2 games a week. Right, T's and C's quickly. Anything to add, lads?
No, I think you're spot on with that.
Right, so like, comment, share, subscribe. We're getting booted out. We're going to get wrong here. So we've got to leave. Click the bell. You know what it does. It'll bring us straight, bring all the videos that we got. Oh, Sky, God, can't even get my words out now. Spit my marbles out. It'll bring all the videos straight to you guys on your devices. So yeah, keep the support coming. We love it. Bad night, but we go again, and we'll see Wolves on Saturday.